Tonight from PNC Park in Pittsburgh, the Pirates start an 8-game homestand, 4-4 against the San Francisco Giants and the Los Angeles Dodgers. And tonight it is the first of 4 with San Francisco. Greg Brown along with Steve Blass and Dan Potash. Glad you could be with us as the Pirates, well, they try and snap, Steve, a 5-game losing streak. They've dropped 10 of their last 11 games. That's the bad news. They're back home. That's good news. And the offense looks like it might be getting some traction, especially with Starling Marte.
He is really hot. He's one of the hottest batters in the National League now. So what you need to have is more people join him. But recently, he is just locked in. He's hitting everything. He sees well. He's on the baseball. And, you can't write scripts to have a lot of people on the times he's doing what you see him doing now. And he'll probably be better off for the month of June. But he is certainly doing his part. And you remember when we used to score 4 and 5 runs, we won all the time. So that's not happening right now, but it's not Starling Marte's fault.
He got back in the lineup last night after missing a couple of games with a bruised cheek and hitting .337, second in the National League. Meanwhile, the Pirates face an old foe, Madison Bumgarner. He is as good as it gets. He was on full display in that wild card game here at PNC Park, October 1st, 2014.
And he really hasn't missed a beat since. He has been absolutely terrific. He's one of the very best in the National League. You talk about the Kershaws, you talk about Arrietas, but he is just absolutely sensational. You take a look at what he has done. Now, since May 1, he lost a couple games in April, but since May 1st, he has been absolutely on fire. Those numbers, those rankings would be even better if it wasn't for guys named Kershaw or Arrieta. He is simply one of the best. He has great stuff, and he has great deception. That's a winning combination.
It's our Farrell League leader stats since May the 1st. Yep, coming up, it's the Pirates and the San Francisco Giants. Bucks went 6-1 against the Giants last year, and they are 11-5 against the National League West this season. It's the Pirates and the Giants, game 1 of 4, coming up next.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by Allegheny Health Network, Health for All. By Bordas & Bordas, official legal partners of the Pittsburgh Pirates. Visit bordaslaw.com. And by Day Automotive, we're gonna make your day. Let's go Bucks!
Back here in beautiful Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Pirates after a disappointing road trip. Great to be back home. Jeff Locke, who has pitched better, certainly at home, than he has on the road.
And Jeff really needs a good start. He has really struggled the last 2 times out. After winning 4 in a row, before that, he had that 4-game winning streak from the middle part of May till early June, beating Atlanta, Arizona, Miami, and the Angels. But last 2 starts, a total of 9 innings, 18 earned runs given up. So that has to stop, especially when you're facing these red-hot San Francisco Giants with their red-hot left-hander, Madison Bumgarner, who's won his last 7 in a row. So you need to outpitch this team tonight.
Bruce Bochy's club has won 8 straight ball games for the 2nd time this season. Honda's starting lineup for the Giants: Angel Pagan, Joe Panik, 1-2 Panik, hitting .302 in June. Brandon Belt at first. Buster Posey hits cleanup, and he is behind the plate with Brandon Crawford at shortstop. Ramiro Pena, the third baseman. That's a highlight there. Matt Duffy is out, and that will end his string of consecutive games played. Jared Parker, Madison Bumgarner, Gregor Blanco round out the starting 9.
And the Hyundai numbers for Jeff Locke, who is making start number 14. 5.5 and ERA dangerously close to that 2 mark. He has been brilliant at times, especially that game down in Miami against the Marlins. He was absolutely terrific, but since then it has been a real struggle against the Colorado Rockies and the New York Mets. So he needs to get things going, and he cannot give up too much. He's got to keep the Pirates close. They've got to take advantage of any opportunities they get, and Jeff has to be at his best. Now, he's not facing the 27 Yankees. This San Francisco team that has won 8 in a row has been doing it primarily with not just pitching, but starting pitching. Their bullpen has been okay, just okay, but the starters have been lights out, and they are carrying this Giants team.
Buccos, Giants, and Honda defense. Over at first base, David Freese, Josh Harrison on the right side with him. Jordy Mercer, Jung Ho Gung on the left side. Marte McCutcheon Polanco in the outfield left to right, and Eric Kratz behind the plate as Chris Stewart still banged up. Angel Pagan, veteran switch hitter. Looking like he might want to bunt, but takes a strike, and those are important. Those strikes from Jeff Locke.
Boy,
and Pagan already didn't like the call.
Yeah, a suspect kind of a call going in, but Jeff gets the call.
C.V. Bucknor behind the plate. Fielding Colbert, the crew chief at first. Jim Reynolds and Manny Gonzalez, the other umpires. That wasn't that bad a pitch. You see that number 1 was borderline. That one not close in the dirt. Pagan hitting .271. 275 as a right-handed hitter, 270 from the other side. Third baseman gone. 1 up, 1 down.
Nothing wrong with a whole bunch of ground balls.
Euclides Rojas is the acting pitching coach tonight, as about an hour ago Ray Searage was sent home with back spasms, and arthritis in the left wrist flared up. So Uncle Ray hoping that back gets better and he feels better tomorrow. In the meantime, Yuki in from the bullpen to be the acting pitching coach. Joe Panik takes a strike.
Yep, you know Ray will be watching. Watching closely, number 49, Jeff Locke. Working the corner. And that's when Jeff is at his best, when he's just keeping the ball out of the hitting part of the strike zone. And when he gets on that kind of roll, he is very good and very quick. Gets the pace going and a lot of comfortable outs.
Oh, 0-2 on Joe Panik. And he lines it the other way on an 0-2 pitch. Joe Panik, one of the best 2-strike hitters in baseball, hitting over .260 in his career.
Right there, about mid-height, out there where he's going to protect the plate anyway. 0-2, and just very, very effectively punches it out to left field. It's just good hitting on a ball that Jeff didn't get where he wanted to.
You want him to throw a lot of strikes, but sometimes he can be too good. Brandon Belt hitting .305. You will notice throughout the lineup that Bruce Bochy does not match up. Not that he has much opportunity. He's got some switch hitters in there, but a lot of left-handed regulars, including Panic and this guy, Brandon Belt, Brandon Crawford, the shortstop. Denard Span is getting a night up. Otherwise, he might be in there. Left-handed hitting veteran.
You want to crowd him. And they crowded him just enough where he had to pull that ball. You didn't want to get that ball out over the plate any more than he just did. And again, once again, out in front, 0-2.
See the splits for Brandon Belt. Better against righties, but not too shabby against lefties. And this southpaw determined to have a much better start after 2 clunkers in Colorado and New York. Fourth career start against the Giants. His last home game was against the Angels. Went 7 innings, 3 runs on June the 4th.
Yeah, his only loss, he's 0-1 against San Francisco, and that loss was to Bumgarner.
Jameson Taillon, well, he was facing the best club in baseball, the Chicago Cubs, and he went 4 innings, gave up 8 hits, 4 runs, 3 homers. So that's going to happen.
Yep.
We want a guy like Taillon to come up and just dazzle every start, but he is going to go through the growing pains. That's what it's like at the big league level.
A little dose of reality with a 3-0 count to Chris Bryant. And that happens also. Yeah. Boy, was it fun watching him in New York.
Panic has stolen 5 in 5 attempts. Eric Kratz. Two balls, 2 strikes on Brandon Belt, who hit a home run off Jake Odorizzi, Tampa Bay Rays yesterday. Swept Tampa Bay down at the Trop to start this road trip. They have been on quite a tear, the San Francisco Giants, and why not? It is, after all, an even year. They seem to win every time the calendar turns to an even year. 2-2.
Seen a lot of San Francisco Giants World Series numbers and statistics.
Letting Panic know he might go over there. First base coach is Bill Hayes. Roberto Kelly, the third base coach, as Bumgarner waits, though he's probably as anxious as anybody to get a bat in his hands.
Pitching coach here, Rags, Dave Righetti.
That is popped up on the infield, shortstop Mercer. With 2 outs, brings up Buster Posey. We're going to get to our greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. And yeah, what the Giants have accomplished, especially over the last 35 games, 27-8, team's best stretch since they moved to San Francisco. We mentioned their second 8-game winning streak of the year. They hadn't had 2 8-game win streaks this early in a season since 1923, when they were still in New York. Starting pitching has been stellar. Best ERA in baseball over this stretch. Everything going right for the Gents. Here's Buster Posey.
And they've done it without pounding the ball all over the ballpark. From a team perspective, team batting average ranked around the middle in the National League, ranked 7th.
2 balls, no strikes to count on Buster Posey. Which could have been called a strike.
Yeah.
It was,
maybe it makes up for that first pitch of the ball game.
So now 2-0. 8 homers, 32 RBIs for Posey. This one hard, but foul the other way.
Well, we've known so much about Buster Posey as a terrific ball player, and he is, but he has really made a name for himself with home plate collisions. A lot of people refer to it as the Posey rule, correctly. That particular play and ruling still looking for a lot of clarification.
Strike. 2-2.
Again, borderline at best. Jeff gets the call.
Two balls, 2 strikes. How about that little play?
Got it lined up, locked in.
How about Olivia Barehand, huh?
Play the game so far.
Yeah. Left side. Mercer to Harrison. Well done. Banks of the Allegheny River. Some people on the river on this beautiful night in Pittsburgh. We check out the RAV4 starting lineup. Jordy Mercer getting ready. Josh Harrison next, then Andrew McCutchen with David Freese hitting cleanup and good career numbers against Madison Bumgarner. Jung Ho Gung hit in the 5 spot. Then Starling Marte, second in the National League and hitting at .337. Gregory Polanco, Eric Kratz, Jeff Locke against Madison Bumgarner.
And he is making start number 15, 8-2, 191. He lost his last game exactly 2 months ago on April 20th. He went down to the Arizona Diamondbacks and the Dodgers back-to-back. He has not lost since.
He's still mad, though. He's still angry.
Yeah, well, yeah, he doesn't like to lose. And he doesn't lose very often. 191 ERA. His last 11 starts, he's given up 2 runs or less. Talk about consistency. The overall numbers are there for you to look at.
Here's the defense behind him. We'll check out Ramiro Pena at third. Again, Matt Duffy out tonight. Brandon Crawford at short. Joe Panik, Brandon Belt on the right side of the infield. Angel Pagan in left. Gregor Blanco in center. Jarrett Parker in right, with Buster Posey catching Mad Bum. Quite a pair, these two, Bumgarner and Posey.
Much better than Black and Decker years ago.
And how about that first pitch swinging into left field? A seeing eye single for Jordy Mercer. We get to our Rivers Casino tips to win as Mercer leads off with a base hit. Josh Harrison will be coming to the plate.
Well, you got a couple guys that have good numbers against Bumgarner, Harrison and Freese. And keep this in mind, all streaks end. No streak has ever gone on forever. If you have a good outing from Jeff Locke and you take advantage of any opportunities. Several times on the road trip, the Pirates set up shop, bases loaded, nobody out, first and third, nobody out. Did not cash them in for anything. When you get those kind of chances, you got to make them work.
He tries to bunt for a hit. Yeah, 545 career hitter against Bumgarner, 6 out of 11.
Yeah, you look at Bumgarner and then you put him with Kershaw and Arrieta. That's a three-headed monster in the National League for National League batters to try to deal with. But the Giants themselves have a three-headed monster starting rotation with Bumgarner, Cueto, and Samardzija.
And don't look now, but Jake Peavy is starting to turn it on. Last handful of starts. Matt Cain over there as well. Harrison with a fly ball toward right center. And the catch made by Parker for the first out. Jay is retired. Mercer back to first. Steve mentioned that Bumgarner has limited the opposition to 2 earned runs or less each of his last 11 starts. That's the longest such streak by a Giant since Juan Marichal won 11 straight, September 30th, 1965 to May 26th, 1966. 2 earned runs or less each of his last 11 starts.
El Presidente. Marichal was El Presidente before Dennis Martinez was. They're both pretty darn good. I mean, really, really good.
So Andrew McCutchen hitting in the 3 spot since the game against the Mets. Let's take a look and see what. Well, look at this. This is what, more than anything else, you talk about the hand, the thumb not feeling well, batting second, batting third, but these calls, and he's not complaining about it, but it seems like every time he comes to the plate, he's behind in the count. Yeah, there have been some really good pitches thrown against him, but there have been some pitches thrown just like that one from Bumgarner that was not a strike, that is called a strike, and all of a sudden he's behind in the count, and
it could be 2-0 instead of 0-2.
That's exactly right.
Now you're defensive.
So he started hitting third on Wednesday against Noah Syndergaard, which was no day at the beach. It was 0 for 3 that night. Then had 3 hits on Thursday. Was 1 for 3 with a walk on Friday at Wrigley. McCutchen was 1 for 3 with a walk and an RBI on Saturday night. John Lester started. And then last night struck out his first 3 times up, bounced into a forced play in his 4th at bat in the 7th inning, and on a 3-0 pitch swung and got an infield RBI single in the 9th. Pirates fell to the Chicago Cubs. Toward the line, but hooking. Foul. And McCutchen was convinced it was foul. He stood there at home plate. And toward the end, he started to think, well, maybe. Watch. Now, whoops. I better get just in case. Just hoping McCutchen just catches fire and goes on one of those patented tears. That would go a long way. Certainly helping this offense, which was pretty darn good in April. And he just missed that one to Pagan.
Well, the Pirates as a team leading the league in batting average. for a good part of April and into May. They're still ranked second in team batting average, but recently they have been very, very cold.
David Freese, career batting average of .500 against Bumgarner, 5 for 10 with a pair of homers.
Bumgarner 2-3 in 5 lifetime starts against the Bucks.
Regular season.
Regular season, yeah. I want to forget about that gem.
And it was 8-0 complete game 4 hitter against the Pirates right here at PNC Park, October 1st, 2014. Of course, Brandon Crawford hit that grand slam in the 4th inning off Edinson Volquez that really silenced the big crowd and, for all intents and purposes, ended the Pirates' hopes of advancing.
Basically a 4-inning game.
Yeah. Now the Pirates bounced back last year during the regular season against the Giants to win 6 of the 7 games played against them.
Cole, Crawford know each other very well.
Home plate umpire asked for help. Fielding Colbert said Freese offered.
No question about that call. That appeal.
Bumgarner 107 strikeouts, 95 innings.
And this is a guy that's not a flamethrower, really. I mean, he throws in the low to mid 90s, but he's so tough to pick up. He goes way back of his body. He's got that long back swing before he starts coming to home plate. He's got a natural cutter. They're on his fastball. He doesn't have to do much to make it cut. Comes off the hand that way. So where he's standing now, that arm, that pitching hand will go entirely behind his back and then come forward. So when you have good stuff and you're deceptive, that's a pretty good combination. And we're going to see more of that from Cueto. He does the same thing, hides the ball well. See how far. That's tough to stay with that motion because you see it out in front of his body, then in back, and then goes behind the back where you lose it for a moment, then you got to try to pick it up. He's a real gunslinger, I guess is the way to describe it. He slings the ball in there.
And so far, no ill effects from that 2014 season, where not only did he win 18 games during the regular year and threw 217 innings, but then had the phenomenal postseason. All those innings, people wondered what would that do to him. Well, he won 18 games last year, 2.93 ERA, 218 innings during the regular season. Strikes out Freese on the 3-2 pitch. 1 complete in Pittsburgh. It is 0-0.
And Pirates are scoreless after 1 inning of play. Of course, over the weekend, a big one for Jacob Stallings, who made his major league debut with the Pirates in Chicago. But there's been some other movement in the Pirates system as far as guys moving north. Let's start with Will Craig, who, of course, was in town to sign with the Pirates as their #1 pick earlier this week. Debuted at West Virginia with the Black Bears, going 1 for 7 in 2 games. Kevin Newman, also on the move, going from Florida to AA Altoona, also named the Florida State League Player of the Week. And how about Austin Meadows, going from AA to AAA, and all he did was continue his hitting streak, which is now at 26 games. So yes, a lot of attention on Jacob Stallings, and for good reason, but some other kids also moving north, if you will, in the Pirate system. Good to see, guys.
I think that's phenomenal how good Meadows has been, and just to pick things up right away, continue the hitting streak at AAA, and doing it with the long ball. Very, very promising for Austin Meadows.
He's just taken off.
Yeah. And we will probably see another Indian tomorrow night. You would think that Wilfredo Boscan will get the call tomorrow for the Pirates. They haven't announced it. Then Hurdle said he has to wait until he lands. But Boscan is the natural choice, with a TBA to be announced on the official game information sheet. 1-2 on Brandon Crawford. I believe that Boscan's day to pitch is tomorrow. Juan Nicasio placed on the restricted list. Some personal issues to attend to. Crawford hitting .260. Hard hit into right field. On a 1-2 pitch. So Panic singled on an 0-2 pitch in the first, and here Crawford rips one into right on a 1-2 pitch. Head to PNC Park. Your lunch break Thursday. Pirates finish up this series against the Giants before the Dodgers come in. 12:35. Be one of the first 20,000 and get a Garrett Cole bobblehead presented by Peoples. Go to pirates.com for tickets. So Brandon Crawford's future brother-in-law, Garrett Cole, has his own bobblehead on Thursday. Steve already has his. I don't know how you got that. It was hand-delivered to the booth.
Yeah.
You rate. That's all there is to it. You rate.
I've been working on this while you guys were away on the road trip.
Yeah.
See, I told them I had to tweak a couple of these designs, because I didn't like some of the things, but I think it came out beautifully, and I think that Garrett will be quite pleased with the rendering. We had to make some adjustments, but I think it's like the umpires. We got it right.
So you're happy with it?
Yeah.
You and Garrett working in tandem. There's a ground ball. Mercer will get one.
And that's all that was available, and he did it nicely.
A backhand play.
Jordy has kind of patented that kind of play on the backhand, moving there, kind of a little bit of a jump as he gets it. Now he'll leave his feet, and a good, strong, accurate throw to second base. It was not a routine play. He made it look like a routine play. And you want those plays made tonight, especially. And we can go over it all time and time again, because there's no wiggle room with Baumgartner. The way he's pitching and the way the Giants are playing. You've got to make those kind of plays.
Jared Parker getting the start tonight in right field. Hunter Pence has been on the disabled list. The right hamstring strain. He's out for quite some time.
Said he might miss the rest of the season.
Possible, huh? They recalled Parker toward the end of May from AAA. He replaced Angel Pagan initially, who has been on the DL a couple times.
Good off-speed pitch delivered by Jeff. Now Jeff has given up these 2 hits a little out of character, 0-2 and 1-2, because usually when he is ahead, that's when he can tease people, work in the corners, throwing strikes that you really can't take. But if you swing at him, you can't do much with. So far, they've done a little something when these hitters have been behind in the count. But when Jeff's on, usually it doesn't happen a good bit.
Jammed him. Oh, just gets him. Now Parker walked, as he ran by first base, as a lot of these batter runners do, indicating safe.
But they all believe they're safe. They're hitters looking for those infield hits. That was just a matter of the baseball out racing the runner right at the last thing, because Jeff throws it well, didn't get to it very quickly, but the ball won the race.
Well, Bruce Bochy will not challenge that bang play. Now, one of the best hitting pitchers in the game, Madison Bumgarner, hitting 8th. Half the time this year, Bruce Bochy has put him in the 8th spot of the order. Bumgarner with 2 home runs this season, 13 homers all time, and he wants to participate in the home run derby during All-Star Week festivities. His manager says he won't let him do it.
Well, if he does, he'll be embarrassed.
0-2.
I can't conceive of a pitcher who's a very good hitting pitcher with 13 career home runs can compete against the guys that do it for a living.
Pitchers are athletes too.
No, they're not.
Put Bum in the home run derby. And the other idea that surfaced recently in a strike 3 call, Jeff Locke gets his first K. Bumgarner doesn't agree, is to have the pitchers have their own home run derby. Here at PNC Park. Day automotive this day in Pirates history. This day 1971, Steve Blass's Pirates sweep a doubleheader from the Expos. Game 1, Richie Hebner homers, drives in 4. Blass throws a complete game for his 8th win of the year. Bucks won 7-1. Game 2, Willie Stargell equals Hebner's line from Game 1. A home run and 4 ribbies helps Nellie Briles win Game 2, 7-3. So the Blass-Briles combination in 1971.
So Stargell hit the grand slam for Nellie Briles?
It wasn't a grand slam, just drove in 4 that. Yeah.
Okay. Because I usually had Willie do those things just for me.
That day was Richie Hebner for you.
Hacker. We'll see Richie. He'll be in town September 3rd for that reunion we're going to have for the 71 Pirates, our 45th anniversary. Here. Yeah.
Chung Ho Gong.
I'll ask Mr. Garter for the night off so I can enjoy the festivities.
As well you should.
And after all, I deserve it.
You're working off. 1 game in a row already. Come on.
I'm killing me.
Man. How you do it?
Well, I try to help out in some of the road trips. Yeah, it's needed.
Gong, Marte, Polanco here against Bumgarner in the second.
How about this day in Major League history? 1950. The Giants signed a 20-year-old from Alabama by the name of Willie Mays.
How'd that work out?
June 20th, 1950.
This date, huh? About that. That worked out.
And they didn't even have to waste a draft choice on him.
Yeah. It was also on this date, June 20th, 1975, in his third big league appearance. John Candelaria gets his first major league win at Shea Stadium against the New York Mets. He goes the distance, a 4-hitter. Tom Seaver started, went 8. And Bumgarner picks up his second consecutive strikeout.
And this day in not this day.
Upstairs to get Gong.
You see him working downstairs, 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 and then all of a sudden comes up. It's tempting to work up there or look up there when all you're seeing is pitches downstairs. Chases it.
Marte returned to the lineup last night, had 3 hits. Two up, 2 down. Ramiro Pena takes care of Marte and brings up Gregory Polanco. A couple of former Pirates celebrating birthdays today, Rob Makoviak and Gary Varsho. This day in Pirates history. For Bumgarner, certainly historic postseason run. Steve, you're looking at his postseason numbers, and they are just ridiculous.
Stunning, especially when you get down to the World Series. Bumgarner 4-0 in World Series work with a 0.25 ERA.
If he were never to pitch another World Series game, that ERA would be the best of anyone with at least 20 innings of work in the Fall Classic.
Ever.
0.25. He's already won 3 World Series titles before the age of 26. One of the most dominating postseason pitchers in the history of baseball. And he is old school. He takes the ball, and we're showing Dave Righetti early, the pitching coach. This has to be like a day off for him.
Oh yeah.
And what does Dave Righetti do on a night like tonight?
You give him the ball.
Yeah.
You're pitching tonight. He's like an old plow horse from North Carolina, Hickory, North Carolina. You just strap it on and turn him loose. Here's the harness, and you're going to work tonight.
He will turn 27 on August the 1st. First round pick in 2007.
There were 9 picks before him that people missed.
Line drive. Boy, that ball was smoked.
The crack of the bat all the way up here.
It had to have good exit velocity. That line drive by Gregory Polanco. About 110 miles an hour off the bat.
It sounded like that.
Yep. He's on with 2 outs. Hope Eric Kratz now. See if he can't pick up his first Pirate hit this time around. Reacquired the first time since 2010. 0 for 15 with 6 strikeouts this go around.
Many times against a superior pitcher, you have that knee-jerk thought, well, let's try to run if we get the chance. But he's a left-hander. That gives him an edge. Now, if you guess right, yeah, you can get it done. But you can also run into some outs. A very, very modest lead.
So Kratz Jacob Stallings, who had his first big league start last night in Chicago and was 0 for 4, caught Jameson Tyone and A.J. Schugel, Curtis Parch, and Jorge Rondon. Chris Stewart not on the DL. He is active, but still hurting a bit. Oh, a bullet, but way foul. And speaking of Stu, our Allegheny Health Network injury update, he's out of the lineup. Third straight game. He's been dealing with some soreness, really body soreness, but in particular discomfort in his left knee. Tough position, and it's really tough to have a lot of depth in the catching position, of course, for the Pirates, especially with Elias Diaz on the disabled list since spring training.
I think I saw a quote from Stallings before he got called up saying, I had the feeling I was one injury away from being needed. And here he is.
That's exactly what Neil Huntington said last Sunday, a week ago. If Stewart were to miss 2 or 3 games, not be able to catch, we'd bring up Stallings or Ed Easley. And there is the runner going, and he makes it easily, but it's a called third strike as Kratz is caught looking. Posey went ahead with the throw, and that's the final out. 3 Ks for Bumgarner. Pirates baseball break down the Buccos lineup that received rave reviews but never hit the field. See how Mark Melanson formed a friendship with a catcher on an opposing team, and much more inside Pirates baseball, presented by Allegheny Health Network tonight after postgame on Root Sports. UPMC scoreboard, it is 0-0 on to the third. First of 4 with San Francisco. Then the Los Angeles Dodgers make their way in for a 4-game wraparound series that'll conclude a week from today at 12:35 start. And again, a reminder, this Thursday afternoon, 12:35, the Garrett Cole bobblehead day. All goes well, we might see Garrett Cole, knock on wood. He could be activated maybe against the Dodgers. It's down the road. Right now, Pirates focus on Gregor Blanco and the Giants. His 8th start in center field. And another left-handed batter. Lefties hit .260 off lock this year. Right-handers .299. Last year, lefty hitters .294, righties .267. There's the 2016 splits.
Talking about sometimes control being too good. Jeff has really been knocked around those last 2 starts that you mentioned, but the control not all that bad. So he was throwing strikes, but a lot of hittable strikes against the Rockies and the Mets.
Of course, he went through that stretch of innings and games where he didn't walk a batter, 2 consecutive starts, and a number of innings for walking 3 against the Rockies at Coors Field, the 9th of this month. Yuki Rojas is the acting Pirates pitching coach. Ray Searage back home with back spasms and arthritis flare up in the left wrist. Harrison going to make a backhand play, off balance throw, and yes, nicely done by Josh Harrison.
Beautiful job going away from where he's throwing to. And Blanco sensing the possibility of an infield hit, but Josh says no with the pick, and then still on the move. Well, you talk about good control from the pitcher. These guys throwing across the infield. Jordy Mercer making a nice play for force play, and Josh getting it done there. Well done. Leadoff man out.
Extremely important for Jeff Locke to have that defense work behind him. Base hit.
That had that sound,
yeah,
too.
It did. 1-0
right
pitch
on the button.
Angel Pagan lines it into left. Well, come on around Saturday night. The Pirates and Dodgers meet, and the first 20,000 fans will get a Pirates tote bag. Brought to you by MLB Network. It's also an Eaton Park Scratch and Win Saturday. For tickets, go to Pirates.com. 7:15 first pitch. Bucks and Dodgers.
Birthday number 66.
This date in history.
Birthday to me.
Yep. Happy birthday, man. You're looking good for 66.
Looking, Steve, at your this is one of your favorite dates, June 20th, 1968. Complete game against the Dodgers. Beat them 7-3 at Forbes Field. It was game 1 of a doubleheader. You beat Don Sutton. You went 2 for 3, drove in a run, scored a run, had a sacrifice bunt. June 20th, 1968. June 20th, 1970. You beat Montreal 4-2, 8 1/3 innings. Justy got you the save. That was at Forbes Field. You beat Carl Morton.
Come on, keep it coming.
Yeah,
Come on.
we just had the other one, June 20th, 1971. We just had that
Yeah.
official one. I mean, what more do you want for June 20th?
All I can get.
That's pulled foul.
68, there was a whole lot of pitching going on. That was really a fun year for a lot of pitchers. And you talk about offensive support too. I'll tell you, during those years, they talked about the lumber company in '79. Well, we had a whole lot of lumber during those late 60 years, early 70s. A lot of runs scored, a lot of production. It was a great team to pitch in front of.
And there were comparisons being drawn the first month and a half of this season to some of the all-time great Pirate hitting teams, lumber companies of the past. But those 70s teams, early 70s especially, late 60s, they did it all year long. Not to say the Pirates won't pick up the pace once again, but that's what is so tough to do in a 162 game schedule, to keep up that kind of pace.
6 months worth of hitting.
Just bashing people. Hit to right, Polanco.
Just kind of sauntering under it.
2 outs.
Well, we had that great crop in the late 60s come up through the organization, the Olivers and the Hebners and the Robertsons and Sanguian, and they just could all hit. That guy even had a good year in '70.
Brandon Belt popped up to Jordy Mercer in the first. Snap throw by Eric Kratz. We don't see much of that from Pirates catchers. Kratz gunned down there.
He's got that angle from the back of the batter. That adds to the deception possibility. Of course, every once in a while you'll see that throw going down the right field line too.
In the air to left center field, long run for Marte, and he's going to get there and decide to slide just in case McCutchen was heading over that way. So a hit, no runs. It's 0-0 through 2.5. And Pirates. And Jeff Locke will lead things off.
So far, so good for Jeff Locke. 3 zeros up on top of the board.
How much fun would it be for an opposing pitcher against a guy like Bumgarner, who, you know, is one of the top hitting pitchers in all of baseball, and how much Bumgarner loves to hit? How much fun would it be for a guy like Locke to get a hit off him? Chases.
It would be fun.
Yeah, 0-2. Not likely.
Not likely, but it would be fun.
Has struck out 3 on his way to his 4th. Got him. 1 up and 1 down. Before the game tonight, on the field here at PNC Park, representing Root Sports and Comcast, Senior Vice President of Comcast Keystone Region, Christine Whitaker threw out the ceremonial first pitch, serving over 1.5 million customers. Comcast Keystone Region includes portions of northeastern, central, and western Pennsylvania, the Maryland Panhandle, eastern Ohio, and northern West Virginia. And Christine threw a strike.
That's a lot of responsibility.
And a base hit for Jordy Mercer. He is 2 for 2.
His bat is making a little more noise here in the last couple games. He had a home run against the Cubs. Home run and a double, I think.
Hitting over 350 now in his last 5 games. A little 5-game hitting streak going for him. And one of Steve's keys to the game is at the plate now. Jay against Mad Bum. Career high 7-game winning streak. Last 10 starts he's gone 7-0 with a 1.27 ERA. Double play ball. Now single by Mercer, but Bumgarner gets Harrison to bounce into the twin killing. 0-0 through 3.
Is in the seats tonight for Cleveland. Well, not really, but that's a nice mohawk there. Scoreless as we move to the third, and it's Monday, which means tomorrow's Tuesday, and it's time for Twitter Tuesday, and Jordy Mercer will be our guest. So we ask you to send your questions to @RootSportsPit using the hashtag Bucks Tuesday. I think that would be nice. Maybe you can tell us how he's been so successful against Madison Bumgarner, guys.
Now it looks like he is ready for Twitter Tuesday, Dan. Look forward to that. Oklahoma State Cowboys been in the College World Series. Bounced to the shortstop. And perfect timing. Just as Dan Potash talked about Jordy Mercer, Jeff Locke induces that ground ball right to Jordy Mercer. Tomorrow it is Johnny Cueto,
who is checking in with a little 10-1 record.
Interesting. We have seen the 3 wild card games played here at PNC Park. The Pirates saw Jake Arrieta on Friday. He went 6 innings of 2-hit shutout ball. Arrieta flanking the Pirates last year. 2 years ago it was Bumgarner. 3 years ago it was Cueto, then with the Reds, and the Pirates beat him. A wild card week for the Pirates. And Brandon Crawford single to right in the second.
Talking to Mike Kukoc, the broadcaster for the Giants, said Cueto has become an instant fan favorite in San Francisco with his ability and a little panache. Whatever that means. Very stylish.
A little panache.
A lot of different looks. The Giant pitcher that I thought was very good with different looks when he pitched was Mr. Marichal. Got in on the hands just far enough to get that routine ground ball to Josh. You know, Jeff Locke knows who he's going up against tonight. You know, he's known for quite a while. Okay, I'm going to pitch against one of the very best, and you try not to do anything extra, but you know, he's coming off a couple bad starts, to be very honest, and this would mean the world to Jeff Locke, not only for him personally, but the Pirates with a win, to win this baseball game tonight. And he's certainly capable. I've said it so many times. The biggest difference is that the real good ones do it more often. Everybody at this level is capable of doing what he did down against the Marlins.
I've heard, Steve, people who played the game over the years talk about that, including pitchers like yourself, say it doesn't matter who is on the mound against you. But I can't believe that. It has to.
It does. It just, I think it makes you concentrate more. Just outside the reach of Jung Ho. They'll hold it to a single. But yeah, I mean, I hate to keep going back to this, but I pitched against Marichal and Seaver and Carlton and Gibson and all those guys. There is a little different because one of the things, there's many things that go into it, but you know, if you go against the best and you win before you start the game. If I beat this guy tonight, then I have really proven something to myself, and I'm capable of competing against those kind of people at this level. So there is a little something extra involved. And one of the other things is, you can't make mistakes.
That's my question.
You're locked in.
If you're locked up against one of the best, runs are at a premium. You can't make mistakes. Whereas if you're facing an average Joe, and you've got a pretty decent offense, they're going to score me some runs, so maybe I can do this or that.
And you're fired up whenever you get a chance to start, but there's a notch above that. There's a notch above that. You pitch against a Koufax or a Drysdale or those kind of guys back in that era. Same way pitching against that area, Kershaw. You're a little jumped up.
In on Jared Parker's hands. 0-2. Parker bounced back to Locke in the second.
And Jeff has been beat up the last 2 games, but you still like the fact that he's not afraid to come inside, and he knows he has to, whether it's a righty or a lefty, protect what he's going to try to do. Now, if you watch Kratz after he came inside, just saw him off right there. Well, Kratz set up down and away for a breaking ball. Again, out in front, 0-2. You want to get him to chase, but he's going to come back inside. He's wanting to. And people say, well, why not go out away after that? And sure, and I was expecting to have him do that perhaps, but you go back in because the hitters may be thinking you're going to go back outside after getting sawed off. So the cat and mouse game goes back and forth. Now, he can go back in there again. It looks like they want it down and away.
Everybody thought it was strike 3, at least the battery of Locke and Kratz.
Boy, I liked it to the naked eye, but it did miss outside.
C.V. Bucknor. Looks like that was a bit inside. So good call from the home plate up. 2-2. Jeff Locke strikes out Parker. That's his second K, matching Baumgartner so far.
It's time for the Toyota RAV4th inning. The all-wheel drive RAV Hybrid has performance that will make you rethink hybrid. Let's go Bucks!
0-0 heading to the bottom of the 4th inning here at PNC Park. First batter Andrew McCutchen against Madison Bumgarner. McCutchen hit a fly ball to the warning track and left in the first. Jeff Locke has allowed 4 singles. Thumbs up. 2-0.
Bumgarner gave up 2 runs in his last start. The 6 before that, he gave up no more than 1.
And that's in the air to right. Jared Parker. So 1 up and 1 down brings up David Freese. Point Park University tweet. Ryan Vogelsong's wife Nicole tweeted this picture out earlier today. A couple of former teammates, Pirates Ryan Vogelsong and Madison Bumgarner, reunited, and it feels so good. Good to see Ryan Vogelsong recovering from that fractured orbital bone surgery, all kinds of facial repairs, and hooking up with his former teammate Madison Bumgarner before the game.
I'll tell you one thing, I didn't think I would see Ryan Vogelsong looking so good so quick. That's great to see.
David Freese struck out in the first. Vogie started long tossing. Says he feels great. He wants to come back this year. One and 2. 4 strikeouts for Bumgarner.
Got a little extra on that 92-mile-an-hour fastball by grunting.
He grunts almost every pitch. You can pick it up on that crowd mic down below. You hear him.
And why not? If it works in tennis, it can work in baseball.
The Jimmy Connors of the San Francisco Giants, Madison Bumgarner. And down on strikes. Gotten Freese twice swinging.
Can't do much with that.
So Steve Bumgarner's another one of those guys that throws, like they say, across the body like Arrieta, huh?
Yep, and that adds to the deception. He's got his wingspan is so huge, so he comes behind his back, and then he comes and throws it around. So I mean, it's tough staying with the whole package of that motion. I don't think it's as pronounced as Arrieta. Now this guy's all over the place. This guy's got a little Louis Tion. He's got a little Marichal in him. Cueto. He's got a lot of quick pitch in him, and people are starting to do that more. I think because of his example. I think he was kind of leading the way in that quick pitch. So if you step into the batter's box, beware, Mr. Cueto.
Chen Ho-Gang facing Bumgarner with 2 outs and no one on. Pirates have had at least a base runner through the first 3, but Bumgarner trying to have his first 1, 2, 3 innings.
6'5", 250. That's a lot of man right there.
A horse. Steve mentioned that 2007 draft.
He's going to grow up to be a giant.
The 2007 draft, David Price went first. Then it was the Royals and Mike Moustakas. Cubs went with Josh Vitters. Pirates, Daniel Moscas. Orioles, Matt Wieters. The Washington Nationals, Ross Detweiler. Brewers went with Matt Laporta. Casey Weathers of the Rockies went 8th. Jared Parker of the Diamondbacks went 9th. And then the Giants selected Madison Bumgarner. And he has back-to-back strikeouts, 6 on the night. 1, 2, 3 go the Bucks. Through 4 innings, 0s across. These two hooked up late last summer here at PNC Park. We take you back to August 21st. One of his 13 career home runs. It was a no-doubter. Beyond the left field loony section. Madison Bumgarner, 2-run homer off Jeff Locke.
Yeah, he's too big. Much too big.
Career homers. 57 pitchers in Major League history have hit 10 or more home runs in a career. Marte makes a fan, a young fan, very happy. Bumgarner too shy of the Giants franchise record for home runs in a career. Johnny Antonelli hit 15, pitched in the mid-50s. In 1960, Hal Shoemaker, from 1931 to 1946 for the New York Giants, hit 15 homers. Clint Harding hit 14 home runs. He pitched for the Giants from 47 to 52, as this is fouled out of play. So little doubt that Bumgarner will become the all-time home run champion among Giants pitchers. He is a Giant. Yep, pitchers are athletes too. Pirates record for home runs in a career. Donnie Robinson, who pitched for the Pirates from 78 to 87, hit 6 in his Pirates career, and then a number of years with the Giants. He went on to hit 13 total for his career. Don Robinson.
Big Donnie, the kid. You know, they wanted him to come back after he was either done pitching or later.
Play some outfield.
Play some position down in the instructional league.
Struck him out looking. Bumgarner knew it. Second time he's gone down looking, and that's number 3 for Jeff Locke. One away in the 5th. Cheer on the Buccos this Friday. Free shirt Friday. Jung Ho Gong shows you what you'll get if you're one of the first 20,000 fans. A Jung Ho Gong t-shirt presented by AAA Auto Insurance. Get your tickets at pirates.com/free-shirt-Friday. First 20,000. That will be extremely popular because that guy's very popular. What a comeback he's made. Blanco set down by Josh Harrison as he tapped one towards second base. Jay made a nice play on him.
Always good to have a pitcher lead off and get him out, no matter where he is in the batting order.
Weak pop-up. McCutchen, 2 outs.
You're starting to see some of that comfortable out stuff from Jeff Locke with some ground balls and some pop-ups. Giving up 4 hits, but a lot of comfortable outs.
Here we go, 3rd time through this batting order. Angel Pagan has grounded out and singled to left. 1 of 4 singles off Jeff Locke. The first pitch strikes, so important for Locke. And he has thrown a bunch of strikes. 66 pitches, 50 of them for strikes. And look at the first pitch strikes. Almost 70%.
Now he can fool around with the corners when he's out in front.
Roller, Gong.
Sweet.
1, 2, 3. A 9-pitch inning for Jeff Locke. Halfway through it, 0-0. Now, Nissan Road ahead. Johnny Cueto tomorrow night for the Giants, we believe. Wilfredo Boscan will be pitching for the Pirates. That has not been announced. We'll make that assumption. Jeff Samardzija on Wednesday night against Francisco Liriano, and Thursday at noon airtime. So the pitching matchup for Pirates and Giants will be Jonathan Neese for the Bucks, Alberto Suarez for San Francisco. John Neese there. Mike Gonzalez between them. Mike Gonzalez between Neese and Liriano on your screen. An assistant to the general manager and an interpreter. 1 ball, 1 strike the count on Marte. Two and one, looking to get something started here against Bumgarner. 3 hits. Lead off single by Mercer in the first, a 2-out single by Polanco in the second, and a 1-out base hit by Mercer in the third.
Just got to get Jordy out more often.
On deck Polanco, then Eric Kratz. Well, in left field. Good view.
All about family.
.337 average coming into this game. Daniel Murphy of the Washington Nationals, the league leader, hitting .358. Deep to left, back Pagan. 1 out.
That's what you call content right there.
You like that?
That's got it all going on.
Yeah.
That's summertime.
It doesn't really need any help. Just a little assist if you hold the corner, please.
It's a neighborhood play.
I've got the rest totally under control. I'll do it at my pace. Yeah, I might just keep the spoon in there for a while, savor it.
Summertime. Living is easy.
Polanco singled in the second.
So far tonight, the pitching is easy.
Oh man, a bullet to belt.
He hit that just as hard as he hit that one that you said came off the bat at 6,212 miles an hour.
Well, it was 110 miles an hour, but that one was, similar.
That had to be the same kind of speed off the bat, I would think, or close to it. Had the same sound.
His base hit in the second.
Being on it.
Bumgarner not happy with himself. Yeah, Steve, you're right. It was exactly 110 miles an hour.
And that's the temperature of the Giants pitcher right now, 110 degrees.
Steve Statcast Blast, we call him.
It's all about the numbers. Now you must be really, really good when you get a guy to line out and it's caught and you're just furious.
Yeah.
I mean, there are some guys that are going to hit the ball hard off you. You just got lucky.
Eric Kratz with a fly ball to left field toward the wall. Oh, did he hold on? No, he couldn't hold on. It's a home run. Eric Kratz has homered to give the Bucks a 1-0 lead. Pagan had it in his glove, couldn't hold it. Kratz's first hit as a Bucko in 2016 is a home run.
Now, if you think Madison Bumgarner was angry at that line drive, how about that? Of course, Pagan was angry. He threw his glove on the ground. He thought he should have it, but It's official. It's over the wall.
All
It's a home
kinds
run.
of stuff happening there, and the fans react to Eric Kratz. His first Pirate hit this time around is a home run. 17th at bat. 0 for 16 before that ball hit off of Pagan's glove. That would have been one of the great catches of all time here, and he had it for a moment. Look at that.
Oh yeah. No wonder you're so upset. He had it. Looked like a sizable grip on it. Maybe the impact against the wall, but it's official now. 1-0 Pirate lead.
The 9th allowed by Bumgarner this season.
Oh, on the inside corner, good pitch to pull.
Kratz looked like when he hit it, he thought he was out, that it wasn't going to be all that close. He was disappointed.
As was Pagan.
And now Jeff Locke. What were we saying in his earlier at bat?
Yep.
How good must it feel for Jeff Locke? His 3rd hit of the season is a base hit off Madison Bumgarner.
Go, Jeff. Doing a lot of things right. Also made a nice play with the glove earlier. Getting out at first base.
Watch the Pirates bench react when they watch Kratz's ball. Watch Josh Harrison in particular.
Josh going upstairs.
Yes.
Pagan almost caught it. He could care less. At that point, it was official. Way to go, Eric.
Eric's 24th career home run. Two singles for Mercer.
2-out offense. Everybody likes that.
And now the texting and the pictures. Ball right there. Eric Kratz in a long journey for this Eastern Pennsylvania native, Eric Kratz. 36 years old. Watch again Pagan, and watch the fans. One Giants fan backing away trying to help, and I think that Giants fan was as frustrated as Pagan. He didn't hold on. We needed some Bucco fans in that first row.
He did time it perfectly to go up. Got a piece.
And now Mercer hits a drive to left field. Pagan going back toward the wall. Makes the catch. A fine play by Angel Pagan. Held on to that, robbing Mercer of extra bases. Couldn't hold on to this. As Eric Kratz, it's his 24th career home run. It's his first as a Bucco. Eric Kratz, a home run off the glove of left fielder Angel Pagan. His first Pirate homer, 24th of his career. He hit 2 last year with the Phillies. Now the 2, 3, 4 men in the order: Joe Panik, Brandon Belt, Buster Posey.
Greg, I'm going to say this before we get too far going into the 6th inning. Everybody talks about the hitter getting to see the pitcher the first 2 times, and he should have an advantage. You know, the pitcher hasn't seen those hitters twice too, and they know what works and what doesn't work. So I don't see how you can say that the hitter has the advantage 3rd time through the batting order, seeing the pitcher, because the pitcher has seen them.
Just outside the bag, foul. Past David Freese, 2-2 on Panik.
So, and I say it early because he might get beat up here in the 6th inning. It has happened. It's happened to every pitcher, but I don't think it's that big an advantage for the batter 3rd time through.
I don't know this for a fact, Steve, but my guess is that, and I know you love this, that the statistics show for pitchers like Locke, as 3rd time through the order, the averages are higher, but that might be something to do with pitch count. It could be a number of factors.
Well, if the pitcher's getting beat up early on, he's probably not going to be around for the 3rd time.
Look out, Freese calls off Kratz and is thankful he didn't collide with that big man.
I mean, there shouldn't be that much drama in that play, but on occasion there is, and you hope for good results.
Now, Freese isn't small, but Kratz at 6'4", 245 is a monster.
Jeff, you can help your first baseman out there.
Yeah, he's supposed to be the traffic cop, right?
Scream as loud as you can because they're looking straight up.
That'll be an easy out.
See, there's a pop-up, easy ground ball. When he's rolling, this is what happens.
73 pitches, 2 up, 2 down. He gets Panik and Belt. Now faces Buster Posey.
Yep. And if you see the guys the 3rd time through and it's in the 6th or 7th inning, it means that you stuck around. You're doing a pretty good job of pitching. So keep it up, Jeff.
He's gotten Posey twice on the ground ball. Both to the shortstop. Broken bat.
No
There's
problem.
Harrison. Boy, this is looking a little like Miami, isn't it?
It is.
May the 30th. Jeff Locke. Shutout ball through 6.
Pirates Baseball on Root Sports is brought to you by the Chevy Tracks and your Western PA Chevy dealers. And by Barrel. With express service, you're in and out in no time. Visit barrelservice.com to find the location near you. Let's go Bucks!
Jeff Locke seated in the dugout right now and pitching an outstanding ball game through 6 innings.
You were referencing that Miami win. You got a lot of offensive support in that one. That was a 10-0 final. So let's get him a little wiggle room here. One of Josh's rare takes on a first pitch. He likes
Francisco Cervelli rejoined the team in Chicago. Oh, fouled off of Harrison.
Maybe it got a little piece of that protective shin guard. Maybe it didn't. Back at him. Close to doing the same thing on back-to-back pitches. You don't want to do that. Bad enough to do it once.
Francisco Cervelli, surgery on the hamate bone.
We see here every once in a while Dave Hollins, the old Philadelphia Phillies third baseman. That
he's a scout these days.
Yep, he was one of the first ones that we heard about the hamate bone being injured.
Every time I hear it, I think of Pat Mears. Wasn't Mears one of those?
I think so. Yep.
Shortly after he signed that contract extension with the Pirates.
We didn't know what a hamate bone was.
Harrison down on strikes. Number 7 for Bumgarner.
His high this year is 11. 3 starts ago.
McCutcheon has flied out twice.
It'd be great to see Andrew run into one right here. Instant offense. Tried to get us a quick point right there.
Two.
There's nothing dazzling about that fastball. 92 miles an hour. He places it well. He's got a little movement. There are left-handers that have more movement. They can throw that fastball with a little cut on it too.
McCutcheon was a little jumpy there. Looked like he wanted to offer a pitch in the dirt.
I mentioned before I didn't have that conversation with Mike Krukow. I said, what makes him so good? And the first word he said, he loves to compete. You can see that intensity, how mad he was on the line drive he gave up. I can only imagine what was going through his mind when Pagan had his glove around that ball but couldn't secure it. It's a different feel. It's a different feel when your teammate is putting that much effort into a play. I mean, you have to applaud the effort. He didn't make the catch. It would have been a great catch. He felt he made the bigger mistake, perhaps, with a line drive that was caught by a belt at first base.
Crawford. A strikeout, a ground out brings up David Freese, who has struck out twice. Follow Pirates Baseball live with the MLB.com At Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with game day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com At Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and tablet.
A pitching night in Pittsburgh. Bumgarner and Locke. Locke having the advantage. similar type of efficiency. That's the 78th pitch that Bumgarner has thrown. Jeff Locke even tighter, 75 through the first 6, with a tremendous ratio of strikes over balls thrown by Jeff Locke. And there's his receiver. He's always part of that. And Eric Kratz and Locke getting it done. We talked about the good numbers of Freese and Harrison against Bumgarner. I guess both those players good numbers against all left-handers. They're hitting good against the lefties.
Two and one the count on David Freese. Bumgarner's batting average against is 7th lowest in the league. They're hitting just .205 against him. And yeah, Freese hitting southpaws a good clip this year. His batting average of .378, 4th highest in the National League against left-handed pitching.
This big left-hand pitcher has got his number so far tonight. 2 strikeouts, first 2 at bats.
And a 2-out walk. Deal first of all, and Fielding Colbreth holds up the initial call by Buckner.
First free pass of the evening issued by anybody.
He's walked 27 now in just about 100 innings of work for Madison Bumgarner. Jung Ho Kang struck out to start the 2nd, struck out to end the 4th.
Might have been a little cut on that fastball there that just traveled too far inside.
Gracious call there from C.B. Buckner, and Kang disappointed. Knows that ball was out of the zone. Way low. See Posey bring it up real quick.
Again, a 2-0 count would have been different.
Oh, shot to belt. Hit hard, but Kang is the final out. 6 innings complete. Bumgarner against Locke, 1-0 Pittsburgh.
It's a great night for baseball. It was actually a great weekend for baseball, and that includes Father's Day. Of course, earlier we referenced Jacob Stallings making his Major League debut at the Pirates at Wrigley Field on Sunday, and this is Kevin Stallings, the head coach at Pitt, also father of Jacob, and I'm sure the last 24 hours or so have been kind of crazy for you. Have you had a chance to soak it all up and relax just yet, or are you too busy doing TV interviews with guys like me?
Well, there have been some media requests, that's for sure, but I spend about 95% of my life being the basketball coach at the University of Pittsburgh, but it's been great to be Jacob's father for that other 5% here lately. So really happy for him, proud of him. Very unique experience yesterday on Father's Day to be able to celebrate and have him make his Major League debut in historic Wrigley Field and that whole thing. So it was really kind of a surreal day. A day obviously that neither one of us will ever forget, but it was an awesome experience.
Now, he told me that earlier today you took him to lunch. So when you came to Pitt to coach basketball in March, did you ever think that the possibility would come up in the summer that he would make his way up here and that you guys could see each other on almost a regular basis like you did back in the day?
No, that never really crossed my mind. But it was, the team flew back last night. I flew back this morning with Jacob's wife, and when we got back into town, we went and picked him up and went over and had a burger over on Market Square. And I don't know my way around real well yet, but I can at least find my way to there. And we spent some time together, and we're able to sort of digest what happened yesterday and last night. So it's really been an awesome 24, 48 hours. And again, we don't know how long he'll be up here. The Pirates need for Cervelli and Stewart to be healthy. And that's what we want for it too. We love it that he's here, but we also know that in order for them to be their best, that they need their best guys.
I got time, I think, for one more. I got to know, since you coach basketball, he's a big boy. I met him this afternoon. Was there ever a thought that he wanted to play basketball as a kid instead of baseball?
Well, he played both sports all the way through high school, and he was an all-state basketball player his senior year in high school. So he was not the SEC or ACC level. He would have been a low D1 type of basketball player, and he's a little better than that in baseball, fortunately, and that became his focus. And he played basketball all the way through high school, though, but baseball was always his better sport.
Kevin, we wish you all the best of luck coming up with Pitt Hoops, and obviously the best of luck to Jacob as well.
Thank you very much.
Guys.
Good stuff from Dan and Kevin Stallings,
Proud dad,
Jacob's dad. Jacob went to the University of North Carolina, and he has talked off about he helped his dad with scouting reports and looking over video of Vanderbilt opponents during basketball seasons in the past, and he hopes to do the same against Pitt opponents, helping his dad with the Panthers. Ramiro Pena, another ground ball, and now you're talking about 9 in a row having been retired by Jeff Locke. 13 of the last 14 Giants have been set down, 17 of the last 19.
82nd pitch thrown, and as we said, a bunch of them strikes. High percentage. By the way, a very nice play to start off the top of the 7th between Freese at first and Jeff Locke getting over to cover, and a nice lead throw, a decent lead throw from David Freese over to Locke. But Jeff got over there, and that's huge. 1-0 game. Do what you do, what you're supposed to do as a pitcher. Get over there and cover first base. Huge out. I got a circle over that.
A rare ball 1 to Jarrett Parker. 83 pitches, 61 of them for strikes. Toward right center, and this is going to find the gap. Jarrett Parker, a 2-out double. First extra base hit against Locke.
This is interesting now. Because you've got Baumgartner up there. He is a pitcher hitting, but he's a very good hitting pitcher, but he's still a pitcher up there at the plate. Now, a quick word with Kratz and Locke together. First of all, they want to make sure of signs, I would think. So has there been? Yeah, there's been one runner at second base.
Hurdle has had the bullpen going. Is he gonna? He's gonna take the ball from Locke. Wow. He's gonna bring in Neftali Feliz to face Madison Bumgarner after Locke had struck out Bumgarner both times looking, and that's it for the Pirates starter. He leaves with a 1-0 lead. Nice ovation. All right, Rob, thanks very much. Let's take a look now at the Volkswagen National League Central Division standings. Cardinals trying to end a 5-game losing streak. That's what the Pirates are trying to do. And get back to at least single digits against the Cubs, falling way back. Block and John Neese talk.
I think, Greg, what the thinking might be here is Jeff doesn't throw all that hard. You got a guy that throws a lot harder. Maybe you want to try to guarantee the difference in speed. A right-hander against right-hand hitting Baumgartner, just maybe to guarantee this out. Maybe that's what's going through Clint's mind, but Baumgartner's going to see a lot more heat, but Jeff did get him twice. Here we go.
Strike one, though Baumgartner didn't agree with that call.
Well, he didn't want to be throwing much up there in that neighborhood, but it is 95, so there is a separation, an increase in speed.
Felice got a big-time generous call.
Well, I would throw 2 more right there then. He's not going to swing and he's going to get those kind of calls. I just hope it works out. Jeff Locke was brilliant. See, there's the difference with a good hitting pitcher. It's still hard for pitchers to hit the real good fastball. If you have a guy in there that doesn't throw quite as hard, that may be the thinking. I'm speculating, and I probably shouldn't. But you hope that Felice just blows him away. Tries to get him with the slider.
Somehow Baumgartner laid off.
That's an unbelievable take.
Shortstop Mercer. Felice gets the final out of the top of the 7th. Book closes on a brilliant night from Jeff Locke. Was reminiscent of Miami when he went the distance and pitched a shutout.
Threw 105 pitches in that outing, but tonight it was vintage Jeff Locke when he's at his best. He just rolls right along, keeps it moving, gets a lot of comfortable outs at 3 strikeouts, threw a total of 84 pitches, 62 strikes, 22 balls. What a great ratio, and just kept the pressure on the San Francisco batters. This is a nice play. That was, I believe, the first out of the top of the 7th, and got the ovation from the crowd that he certainly deserved. 6 2/3 scoreless.
5 hits, just 1 extra base hit, a lot of weak contact. Point Park University tweets, love, love, love Jeff Locke getting a standing O at PNC, says Lisa. Ryan, heck of a performance by Locke when we needed it the most. Sherry, Locke bringing his A game again tonight. Let's go Bucks.
Certainly did bring his A game. And that's how you beat guys like Baumgartner. We haven't done it yet, but we're close to doing it, and that's how you do it. You outpitch him. You're not going to give much up.
Tries to bunt for a hit, didn't get it out far enough, so Posey will make a relatively easy play. Marte is out number 1 here in the bottom of the 7th inning.
Now all you can do is hope that Polanco hits the ball as hard as he did the first 2 at-bats and gets some lift. Just 2 really good at-bats. A line shot single and a bullet to Belt.
Tony Watson getting ready for the 8th. Watson and Melanson have not been used much at all in the past 10 days. So they're more than fresh. 2-0 on Polanco.
The 2 losses that Baumgartner has suffered, he gave up 4 runs to the Dodgers in the start back in April, and then 2 runs to the Arizona Diamondbacks. Those were his 2 losses. He's given up 1 tonight, 1 run, and has a chance to take an L. But he said, still a good bit of work to be done.
6 days ago, he beat the Brewers when 8 innings, gave up a couple of runs on 4 hits. And a 3-2 victory. Three and 1 checked. Only checked with Manny Gonzalez. Line drive, bullet, foul. He got the lift, just what you wanted.
Just a touch out in front. He's going to be one of those young men you want to watch all the time, whether he's in a hot streak or a cold streak. He's just enormous talent. Exciting to watch.
Baumgartner twice this year gave up 2 home runs in a ball game. Last time, however, was April the 15th against the Dodgers. Ooh, look out, and ball 4. Second free pass.
Now we did see Polanco, I believe, take off when Eric Kratz was struck out back in the 2nd inning. So he did take a shot, and who knows, maybe you take another shot to try to get in position for a base hit to give you a 2nd run.
And just a reminder, as you enjoy cold one, to look forward to Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Eric Kratz, home run in the 5th, his first as a Bucco, and Angel Pagan had it for a moment.
Don't think he's not still thinking about that.
First home run for Eric Kratz since August 18, 2014, when he was with the Royals. I think I mistakenly said Phillies earlier, but with the Royals back in 2014 when he hit his last big league homer. Fouls this one off. Here it is in case you missed it. Watch how close Angel Pagan comes to robbing Kratz. Had it and then lost it. Kratz' first hit since rejoining the Pirates.
And that's your ball game so far.
Game of inches indeed. Baseball. There goes Polanco. He's picked off. And he'll be caught stealing for the second out. Belt, fine play to Panic.
You take off, you take your chances, and pitcher doesn't go to home plate. That's what's happening most of the time. You see him try to get in the way, get hit in the backside or the middle of the back with that throw.
Well, that's a pretty close play. They're going to tell Kratz to hold up. They're going to challenge this. I think Branson say, Kratzy, hold up. You can't get into that batter's box. If you do, then you can't challenge. So the Pirates are going to challenge that. That was pretty close. The fact that Polanco didn't react makes you think that he thought he was out, though. He trotted off the field right away. Any evidence to think they would overturn this?
I don't know anymore.
Nothing from those angles. You would think that would overturn the original call. Belt and Panic look at the scoreboard out and left, as does Polanco.
Does it help you at all to stay out there to maybe sway the people in New York? Now, did he tag that back foot?
Steve, I know you I think to a degree you were kind of kidding, but actually I've heard people, some baseball people, say that actually could go against you if you, in a way, you're kind of showing up the umpire, that you are better off, in this case, trotting off the field.
And you think you're out.
Because there's an umpire in New York that is watching this. It'll make this decision. If he sees a guy standing there at second, like, oh, I know I'm safe. They're only human.
Yeah.
And they certainly want to back up their colleagues here on the field.
And does it matter that the player himself trots off the field? And
in this case, no. He's out anyway. The Pirates lose a challenge. I guess the point is, it's probably smarter to do what Polanco does. Regardless, you think you're safe or whatever, don't do anything, just head off the field. That is the second out. Caught stealing 1, 3, 4. And a 1-1 count on Kratz.
You know, if you get a ball up in the air now, Greg, I didn't notice this before. There's a strong wind blowing out to left field, so you could get something up in the air and get some action out of it.
Selfie time.
Yeah, he got up there.
Selfie stick.
Might be video. First time I saw one of those contraptions, I thought it was a mirror. He's trying to comb his hair long range.
Well, it could be used for that.
Yeah. Good touch up.
Full count. Eric Kratz. 29th round draft pick. The Toronto Blue Jays back in 2002. And he has bounced around in a number of major league and minor league cities over his professional career.
This will be pitch number 98, thrown by Madison Bumgarner.
Make him throw another one here. Approaching 100 pitches, but that's nothing new. Bumgarner, in fact, only twice this entire season has he not thrown at least 100 pitches in a start. He's a horse. George Contos is ready. Should Bruce Bochy decide? You saw Sean Rodriguez to pinch hit if Kratz reaches. Nice backhand play by Ramiro Pena. Takes care of Kratz. And the Pirates are retired through 7 innings. Still a 1-0 ball game. Great shots from the Allegheny Health Network Super Mo, and that last one, the frustrations of the left fielder Angel Pagan, who had the Kratz home run briefly.
Yeah, I wonder, Greg, the more I watch that play, I wonder sometimes if you're in that scenario, you go up with one hand rather than the both hands, where you got to do more with the body to take both hands up there. We'll never know. The point is, he didn't catch it.
And that close to catching it.
Yep.
The closest ball game has been the matchup of Locke and Bumgarner. Tony Watson now pitches the 8th.
Went back on a little bit of a roll, 4 scoreless appearances, only giving up 1 hit in his last 4 trips. Where we expect Tony to be.
Pitch pop up. McCutcheon. One up and one down, and to Pagan in the top of the batting order for these San Francisco Giants. Cricket gives us something to smile about. And look at tonight's attendance, a fine crowd of nearly 28,000 on a Monday night.
Yeah. You know, there are teams that have attraction. You know, there's certain teams. The Giants have always been an attractive opponent to come in. The Dodgers have that reputation. People get revved up about the Mets, Cardinals. Now the Cubs have emerged.
Strike on Pagan. One of the 5 hits against Locke. Weak ground ball. I wonder about the rest for Tony Watson. Might that not go a long way for the Bucco lefty, who is pitching for only the 2nd time in the last 10 days. Pirates continue this series against the Giants tomorrow night. Coverage starts at 6:30 with Pirates pregame presented by WB Mason on Root Sports. Johnny Cueto tomorrow.
And we talk about Baumgartner, talk about Kane. Johnny Cueto 10-1. You have to watch him every minute now with that quick pitch. The more he has success with it, the more he'll do it.
Baumgartner came in tied for third, the lowest ERA in the league. Cueto 6th lowest in the league. Jeff Samardzija.
Speaking of a former Chicago Cub, Chicago White Sox.
0-2. Watson looking for a 1-2-3 innings. Got panic in the hole. 0-2. One ball, 2 strikes. Watson threw in New York 6 days ago. 16 pitches against the Mets.
A headline writer's dream. Panic. He didn't panic on that sweeping curveball. He did on that one.
And that is vintage Watson. 1-2-3.
On Root Sports is brought to you by Kenny Ross, Total Confidence Pricing, and by Levin Furniture, the official furniture and mattress supplier to the Pittsburgh Pirates. For the best quality, service, and value, shop Levin's. Let's go Bucks!
It is 1-0, head to the bottom of the 8th inning.
Let's go Bucks indeed.
Eric Kratz home run the difference. Baumgartner still out there, and Sean Rodriguez bats for Tony Watson. On a strike. Sean Rodriguez.
A couple of deliveries upstairs. Many times that's an indication of the pitcher getting a little tired, standing straight up. But it's hard for me to imagine Baumgartner being tired. I just can't imagine that.
Rodriguez would like to get it going again. He had a great start to this season. Now, last 72 at bats, 15 hits, a 208 average. Full count.
Kind of right in the wheelhouse on that trip that included Arizona when he was out there. Hit that monster home run. Hot bat time for Sean.
A big 3-2 pitch. The bullpen up again. And Rodriguez find a way to reach to start this bottom of the 8th, get an insurance run. Cantos back up.
I think if he gets on base, you might see the San Francisco bullpen.
Probably right, because Mercer's had 3 good at bats against Bumgarner. Strikes him out.
Grunted his way to the 8th strikeout of the evening.
Melanson for the 9th. Looks like Jared Hughes is the acting bullpen coach. How about that? With Yuki Rojas filling in for Ray Searage. Who better to handle the relievers? And he looks like he is into it. He's going over the chart. The hitters that Melanson's going to be facing.
Yeah, that's
Jared Hughes saying, okay, this is what we got: Belt, Posey, and Crawford.
Yeah, that's an unlikely duo.
That's great. That is great. This is probably like the old minor league days, Steve, right? Isn't that the way it used to be?
Yeah.
You guys handled that stuff on your own, didn't you?
Yeah, and then we go out and coach first base.
Yeah. There's Yuki Rojas, colored pen and all.
Well, I'll tell you, Yuki's been a heck of a pitching coach tonight, Ray. We know you're watching, but
look at you see Hughes just say, okay, 2 outs now. Just got the 2nd out. He is into it.
Oh, that's great.
Jared Hughes.
Good stuff.
That is awesome. That's a serious. And normally, you know, he's all smiles and fun and games until he gets into a ball game. But look at it, stoic. He's got a job to do and taking it extremely seriously.
He might run in with Mark.
That would be great.
Would that be?
That would be great.
Hilarious. And he would win that race.
Yeah, oh yeah.
He gets in there under the watchful eye of Jared Hughes.
I guess we know when Hughes' playing days are over what he wants to do, huh?
Yes.
Get into coaching. And a pop-up. Parker will make the catch, heading to the 9th. Mark Melanson will be coming on for the watchful eye, Jared Hughes.
Authority of the Pittsburgh Pirates and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Difference in the ball game with the Eric Kratz 5th inning home run. Jeff Locke went 6 2/3 innings, a 5-hit, no walk ball. Neftali Feliz got the last out of the 7th, a 1-2-3-8 for Tony Watson. And now Kratz matched up with Pirates closer Mark Melancon.
And you got a chance with a tidy 9th inning, Greg, to have maybe one of the top 3 ball games the Pirates have played all year, but they've got to get these 3 outs. Really good baseball game. Melancon, if I'm reading this right, this is his 400th career Major League appearance.
And looking for his 20th save of the season in 21 chances. Brandon Belt 0 for 3. One swing, of course, can tie it up. No room for error.
And pretty obvious this is how it starts. Get this leadoff man. It'll be huge.
This is his 7th opportunity, save opportunity, with just a 1-run lead. 6 for 6 to this point.
Just barely missing with that second delivery.
2-0 count.
Just enough on that outside part of the plate.
Allegheny Health Network Supermo. You see Belt late. In on the hands and a little flare. A leadoff hit for Belt.
You see Kratz setting up inside, got it in there, but then Belt was just able to get the hands in close to the body. You see how he pulled the hands in and still able to get enough to just punch it out into short right field.
Now it's Buster Posey. Posey 0 for 3 in this ball game.
Has bounced into 6 double plays.
2 for 5 lifetime against Melancon. And ball 1. The Giants and the Texas Rangers have both won 16 one-run games, the most in the major leagues. Giants have lost only 7 one-run affairs. They have won 8 straight coming into this. Not a half swing fly ball toward the line and right. And look at Belt all the way to second base. Gregory Polanco will double him off. How about that play? Brandon Belt was all the way to second. And Posey turning around saying something.
How quickly things can turn around. You don't know where Belt was just saying to himself, I'm going to take a shot. If it gets down, I might be able to score. But really, that wasn't a spectacular catch.
That's a no-no. You can't do that.
He made a mistake.
A big-time mistake. That's hard to believe. What is he seeing?
Yeah, if he said, I'm going to gamble on it, that's a horrible gamble.
And now, Brandon Crawford, Mark Melancon backing up first. He was going to make sure they got that out. Crawford takes ball one. Giants.
Maybe it's that kind of night for the Bucks. Boy, if they needed this. Not over yet.
But Posey might not have injured himself there. 1 ball, no strikes. And it's 1-1. Let's see. Buster Posey, who hit that fly ball moments ago. Oh boy, yeah. Grabs his hamstring. That is, needless to say, big, big news for the Giants. Meantime, Crawford.
All of
1 for 3. 1 ball, 1 strike.
And 1 out away.
Giants have been shut out 3 times this season. Pirates trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. And the Giants a loss for the first time in 9 games. And with third base open, Crawford thinks of bunting the ball.
1 out away from something very special on a Monday night.
Frustrated Posey knows he's hurt. And his team is down 1-0. 1-2 on Crawford. Drive to right center field. Over Polanco. McCutchen will make the catch. Raise the Jolly Roger. Mark Melanson earns the save. Eric Kratz's home run. The difference in this masterpiece.
What a great baseball game. What a great baseball game.
Jeff Locke earns his 6th win.
Eric Kratz, big part of it. Getting his work done behind the plate, hitting the ball over the fence. And Mark Melanson puts the lid on it.
Losing streak is over. Great start to an 8-game homestand. A 1-0 shutout of the hottest team in baseball. Locke, Kratz, Felice, Watson, Melanson. Pretty much the story in this one.
Yep, that's what you have to do to beat Baumgartner and the Giants these days. Outpitch them. That's what they did tonight.
More to discuss with Robin T.
Greg and Steve, thanks very much. That was a fun one to watch. One the Pirates really needed. Teague, obviously, they've been scuffling. The 5-game losing streak, they're second over the last 11 games. They get the win here. They're back home. Hopefully they can get a little win streak going, but you got to get one, and to get by Bumgarner, that's a big, big win for the Buccos.
Well, I mean, there are 2 big pluses in this one, Rob. Number 1, you won the ball game, which is important. But number 2, you got a great starting effort, and we haven't been getting a whole lot of this recently. Jeff Locke, just a great job out there on the mound tonight, and Eric Kratz, just enough to get the Buccos on the board, and that was enough to win the ball game. So a good game all the way around. Didn't score a lot of runs. Baumgartner was as tough as usual, but we were able to get one, and that was good enough.
Eric Kratz in the middle of all the action that counted for the Buccos tonight. He's downstairs with Dan Potash. Danny?
All right, gentlemen, thank you very much. Of course, Eric, in his 2nd stint with the Pittsburgh Pirates, only a short time back in 2010, did not get a chance to go deep. You get a chance to go deep tonight, and you do it against one of baseball's best pitchers. But as you leave the box and you see Pagan making that play at the wall, what are you thinking? He's got it or he doesn't got it?
I didn't see him make the play at the wall. I didn't think I got enough of it, but I was fortunate. You know, the wind was blowing good, so we got the win.
Let's talk about Jeff Locke. Needed only 84 pitches tonight, 62 for strikes, a lot of first pitch strikes. Why was he so dialed in or dominant?
Because of the first pitch strikes. You know, he was throwing his game, and he was very aggressive in the zone. And he made those guys who are really good, you know, aware of the zone, he made them start swinging, and we were able to get a lot of first pitch outs and a lot of first pitch strikes.
This is the 2nd time, if I'm correct, that you caught Locke in your 9 days here with the team. How much more comfortable are you with him or any pitcher the 2nd time around? Because obviously you've got a lot going on in your head trying to adjust to a new team.
No, for sure. And my comfort level will only continue to grow. I think even Frankie and Stewie would say theirs continues to grow. You know, you never really know the guy, but hopefully he was out there and was comfortable with me back there. So I think that's something that I got to continue to work with those guys, and that's why I'm here.
Eric, well done. Congrats on the win.
Thanks a lot, Dan.
Guys, it's all yours. Eric Kratz.
Dan and Eric, thanks very much. And Teague, I know Eric Kratz is the guy you were high on defensively here his first go-round with the Pirates. Offensively, is Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Eric Kratz, we know what he can do behind the plate. Teague, it was at the plate tonight with a bat in his hands that he made the big difference.
Yeah, he did. As he said, just a little bit of a breeze blowing out the left. Got a little assist from Angel Pagan. He thought he was going to get it, obviously upset. It was in the glove, came out, but the ball was well over the wall. Eric Kratz, the only run of this ball game. The Pirates win 1-0.
And boy, did the Pirates need it. They snapped a 5-game losing streak, start this homestand off in style with the 1-0 victory over the San Francisco Giants. Coming up on Pirates postgame, presented by the Allegheny Health Network, we will have complete highlights of this masterpiece by Jeff Locke, post-game reaction, highlights from around the league. Teach look forward to Game 2 of this 3-game set and more. Coming up next on Pirates postgame.